Hi, everybody. Welcome to Katrina Raspberries, and this is the moment you've all been waiting for. So, a lot of you know that for years and 100 and plus episodes, I should have looked that up. Dahlia Rose and I had a show called Crossroads of Cognizance where we talked about everything. And Crossroads of Cognizance was my springboard for this show to think, what do I want it to be like? And I thought, boy, if I could just show all of my cool friends the way that I showed Dahlia to my other friends, then that would be great, because we Dahlia Rose is a mystic. She's an oracle. I'm not going to use all the labels for her. She's an intuitive healer. She can put her own labels on herself, but it's just Dahlia Rose, like Cher. She's just a force of nature. And we met several years ago when I was doing a show called Tea and Crones with Corby, who's already got interviewed with me for this show. And she was telling me, listen, it's really hard to follow comments when we're streaming live because we did live streams for our shows. So I have a gal I want to bring on as a moderator. She does my my free reading live streams. And she's great at it. I'd like to include her. And I was resistant because I thought, oh gosh, this has so many moving parts now. If we bring other personalities into what we're doing, we've suddenly got to listen to them and they're going to have opinions. And I just want to do the fucking show. And so Corby can be very convincing. And she said, no, we're going to do this. And so Dahlia came on, and that's how I met Dahlia. And as soon as I saw her, I said, this is one of my kids. This is my much, much, much younger sister, and she's mine, and I'm keeping her forever and ever and ever. And I did. And then we had our own show, like I said, that was amazing. And so here's Dahlia Rose. Tell us a little about yourself, Dahlia.
What a time. Yeah, you were my springboard into the bravery of live streaming, because it just felt like it felt like jumping into a void. But I had you, and hand in hand, it became less and less scary over time, to where now people are looking at me like, oh, you do live streams. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in it. But who am
Why
I?
not?
Yeah. Who am I? I am, like you said, I'm a mystic, oracle, supporter, and amplifier of all things woo woo. And if I can bring it into your life in the fullness of what esoteric, magical, occult, higher minded, higher spiritual concepts can be, with it being able to be metabolized by you as an individual, then that's what I do. So goodness, I had to look back on this as I was teaching. I have a group of mentees, and it only occurred to me recently that I've been in the woo-woo business for 10 years, like officially. Growing up, I was self-taught on a lot of things, but I got my first certification about 10, 12 years ago. And it seems like it was yesterday, because I never stopped being a student. So who else am I? I'm a student of all things divine and magical. So,
and when you say that, you are far more expansive in your interest and your specialties than I am. I feel like I have this little tiny wedge of a pie that I'm into and that I feel competent working on. And you do so many things, and you are educated in so many different topics that you can speak intelligently, I think, to almost any topic that's woo-woo, can't you? I mean, I can't think of anything.
As a Virgo, I will try to find a way.
Like we do. True. True. So, of your topics that you work with, and away from like healing specialties and that sort of thing, what is your favorite topic to talk about in that field?
Away from healing specialties?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Away from healing specialties. That has been
Dahlia's
my life.
thinking that was not one of the 8 questions.
No, you're good. Um, oh, I love talking about what people are passionate about and what they're driven by. So, if I can have 10 minutes of your time where you just gush about something that gives you vitality that is not typical, like, I mean, not like, oh, I love going for a run, but if you can paint me an artistic picture of what running actually does for you, when your feet hit the ground, when you can smell the sneakers at a race, the rubber of the sneakers at a race, like that, I could do forever. I absolutely love people's drive and passion, from everything from the normal to the very weird. And I think I love those things. As I'm talking about it, I was like, why do I love that? Because I always learn something. Like you said I have vast knowledge, and it often comes through exposure to incredible people, and not necessarily people that you would think are incredible, but they're incredible in their own right. So, yeah.
So, with healing, what's your favorite healing modality? When I say your favorite, I know that's like picking your favorite child, but what's your go to? If, like for me, if I'm reading tarot cards, I have one or two decks that I'm going to default to, that I'm just going to reach over and grab by just instinct. What are your healing modalities that you just immediately go to?
So I've been playing with gene keys recently, and I know that doesn't seem like a healing modality, but I've been using it that way. And taking the art of contemplation and actually using it to enter into a person's energy field and shift something in real time, and watching them sort of come back to life, or watching their body come back online. And so I've been utilizing the gene keys as a healing modality more recently. Formally, in any of my certifications, I would probably say Prana Shakti. Prana Shakti is a modality that I learned from a guru that came from India for a couple. He came to the States like twice, and he teaches this modality, and I love it because it's endless. Like there's no end to the techniques, the mantras, and it is accessible for most people. I feel like Reiki requires a layer of belief and ability to like connect with the concepts. And with Prana Shakti, if you can say the words and allow the mantras to just like take you out of normal conscious space and time, you can create a healing, like a healing moment. And it's something that you can do on your own. It's something you can do for other people, and it doesn't feel as gate kept as other modalities that I've either gotten attunements for or have been introduced to. So
Fascinating. I'm
yeah,
really interested in the gene keys.
yeah,
So we actually had an appointment at one time to talk about that, and schedules got in the way and that sort of thing. So I would be really interested in doing that. That's amazing.
yeah. I'm
So
excited to get with you.
yeah, that sounds wonderful. It all sounds wonderful, and it's all things. They're all things I'm not familiar with, and so of course that makes them more exotic and more exciting. And so yeah, that's awesome. That's great. So you and I have not we haven't had a chance to really sit and catch up a lot on what you've learned and the new things you've done and that sort of thing. So it's just amazing and awe-inspiring to hear those things that you've been learning and doing, and good for you. That's wonderful. I have gotten to the place I just don't feel like I'm ever going to learn anything new again. And it's not a lack of curiosity. It's
Sure.
not a thing of, not being passionate and excited about things. It's just exposure, because I don't get out and do a whole lot, so I don't meet a lot of new people, and it kind of feels like, and this really kind of started around age 62, I guess it was, that my brain is full.
Oh,
It's really hard to purge stuff to make room for new stuff.
yeah.
And a lot, and I've it's disappointing because I was very much like you. I really was excited about exploring and finding new things to learn. And now there's this feeling that when I purge that stuff, the old stuff that I don't need, I'm going to forget where my car keys are left, and I'm going to not know how to make banana bread anymore. And it's weird how memory changes and how thought processes change as you age. It's fascinating to me to live it in real time and
Mm.
observe it in myself. And so I kind of do anything I can to keep the pencil sharp and try to learn and do new things, but it's a challenge.
Can I ask you about your experience?
What part?
Well, so like this concept of the brain being full, I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering if you've ever looked at, because with your practice, everything, the power of your practice was the precision of it, right? And so you had this way of doing things, and I'm wondering if it's like, do you feel like those things were so strong that what would be normal pruning in the brain just, it never happened, and so
I
now,
do. I
yeah.
do. I think part of it is the natural effects of aging, but I think part of it is that because I went full steam for so long. And when I would work with somebody on a cleansing or reading or just life coaching or whatever I happened to be doing with somebody, I went full immersion.
Yes.
And so I'm getting into their situation empathically and energetically. And you can't do that and not collect some of it yourself. And I was really good at grounding, really good at clearing out, but I don't think you can ever get all of it out. I think that, even with professional cleansings, there's still times when parts of it goes really deep into your psyche, and you don't realize that it's there until something brings it up later.
Right.
And I've had plenty of times that I would be having a reaction years later and would meditate on, why am I feeling this way? Why am I triggered like this? And as I'm meditating, I go back to a client that I honestly had forgotten about, or that just wasn't on my radar anymore, and recognize that I'm mirroring their responses. And so
Mm.
I think there's just clutter in there, and I just need a really good brain douche without losing the important things, the natural biome that the douche takes away. To continue the metaphor.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's how Virgos are. Of course, you know how Virgos are. That we're so meticulous, and our memories are so razor sharp that
Yeah.
we're horrible to argue with, because what? Oh, on September 12th, 1842,
When
you
you were
did
wearing the
that.
red shoes.
Right, right, exactly. And so to have my memory start to fail in places is just like not having your arms anymore.
Mm.
And it becomes a little bit more rampant. And of course, there are dietary concerns that can accentuate your memory loss, and you got to be careful about those. And certain medications can amplify. You got to be careful about those. And it's just a lot. It's juggling chainsaws to be old. It
It
just is.
is. It is.
So yeah, that's kind of my experience. And Eric, of course, is 15 years younger than I am, and so he's just starting to get some of the effects of aging. And that has been really traumatic for him because he
Mhm.
has always been prime physical health, prime mental health, just on the ball, really cutting edge, which is one of the things I really admire about him. And since there's places where his body's been failing him. There's places where his memory and mind have been failing him. And he's having a much harder time with it, I think, than I am.
Wow.
Because I've kind of gotten used to it over a few years. This is all new for him. But when it first happened to me, he was just agog. Just who are you and what have you done with my wife?
Oh man. Wow.
And yeah, if you get somebody insidious, they'll start trying to gaslight you if they know that that's going on too. So you gotta kind of watch that. Hopefully, you don't have anybody in your life that does that, but every
Yeah.
now and then you'll see them and you're like, oh no, 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 we're not doing that.
Yeah, no, I am actively pruning people that might gaslight me,
Good.
actually. Yeah.
What's great is that another thing Virgos are awesome about is writing lists. And so I write everything down now so that I can remember. And even when I write it down, sometimes I miss it. I'll have the paper taped because I'm old fashioned to my desk here to remind me of something. And even then I will sometimes forget what day it is and miss an appointment. And
Mm.
it's really that just happened to me this week with somebody I really care about, and I was really bummed about that. And they were very sweet and very reassuring there, but at the same time it's just you turn into some movie character that's going stupid, stupid, stupid when that's not who I am at all. I feel bad because one of the things I value really deeply in myself is being on time or early anywhere I
Okay.
go. And I've got a couple of kids that are dynamite about that. And I appreciate that so much in them. If we have lunch, by the time I get there early, they've already got a table. And I'm just like, go girl. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
So missing things is really hard for me.
I hear you saying it's an aging thing. I also kind of feel like it's a sign of the times.
Mm,
Because of the level of stress that's going on, like, in the world, right? Without harping on any particular topic.
mm-hmm.
I think since 2020, our nobody's memory has really been,
I agree.
what it needs to be, and our concept of time is just between it's so altered between
Mm-hmm.
the idea of working at home, between like the shuffling of children that had to grow up in that era and what they're experiencing, the psychedelic renaissance, like time is
Mm.
not normal anymore. And
Well,
so,
and the physical effects of the disease. If you had COVID, especially the early years of COVID, if you had long COVID, you do not come out of that the same person. It
not at
just
all.
really shifts everything. And to me, that was wild that it would have that kind of effect. And it did. So another thing about when you're saying sign of the times is because of the internet and because of the availability of the internet on our phones, we process so much data, so many pictures, so many opinions, so many thoughts all through our day that if we pick up even the tiniest fragment of any of that, we're full.
Yeah,
There's so
absolutely.
much more to remember. I can remember this stupid meme from, 4 years ago, and I've just got to find it. So
You
in
know,
doing that, you go through all these other things.
my phone storage filled up for the first time like ever in my life.
Wow.
It was on like memes and videos that I didn't want to forget. And I was like, this is really just a different place to be in my life. So, yeah, like taking breaks from the phone, do not disturb has actually become my best friend. And I realize like on some level it's a privilege, and on other levels like it's what I have to do to keep my sanity.
Something I
So
do that's absolutely horrible. There's so I get a lot of spam calls, and I mean 10, 15 a day spam calls. I get lots of spam calls. And so, what I have done in defense of that, or to defend against that, is I set my do not disturb from 11 o'clock at night until 10:58 at night.
Okay.
And I only allow certain apps to come through, like my Facebook Messenger and my mail and that sort of thing. And I have a list of favorites. And so if my phone ever rings, I know it's one of 10 people.
Wow.
And everybody else gets filtered out. At night, I go through and just report as junk and delete, report as junk and delete everybody. So
And it seems like that
anytime
doesn't
my phone
work.
rings, huh?
I feel like the report as junk thing is like a
It's like the
pacifier.
elevator button that doesn't work. You know,
Right.
it's
I'm like, how does it keep coming through if I reported it as junk? But that's
yeah,
crazy about your phone. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it works great. It works great. And the other thing is because of my Meniere's, I don't hear well on the phone.
Mhm.
And so I'm not a phone person. You know, Eric is the kind of guy is why am I going to text when I can just call them? Do not do that to me, son. No,
No, don't call me
no,
either.
don't
I
call
hate it.
me because I have to contextualize everything.
Yeah.
So my kids and Eric do not honor that boundary. And I complained about it to Nathan one time. I complained about it to all of them, but I complained to Nathan specifically one time and said, it bothers me because I can't hear all that you are saying. And it's a lot of mental labor to extrapolate from context clues of the words I do hear, what
Mm.
you're actually asking and what you're actually saying. He said, Mom, we don't call for you to hear us. We call to hear your voice. And
Oh.
how can I fight with that? I'm like, oh, all right, well played. Good job.
Right.
But no, I hear on the phone maybe a third of what gets said. And it's just all this mental puzzle piecing to figure out what you probably said based on it's like constantly playing Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
exhausting.
It is. It is. So what do you think happens when you die?
Oh. Okay, so passionate topic for me ish.
Good. Talk as long as you want.
Um,
We got all day. I don't cut
do
anybody
we
off.
have all day?
I do.
So right. What happens when you die? Well, aside from losing the meat suit, you get reabsorbed into the collective for sure. So that I feel like is a thing. It's death is another process. It's another stage. So if this stage is flesh, you lose the flesh, but nothing else. All the non-material things have their own process to go through. And then in that, I believe we go back to some sort of like meeting place. And I don't believe I believe hell is here. Not anywhere you go. I think it's earth. And when we choose suffering or when we experience suffering, if not chosen, I should say when suffering chooses us. Um, but I believe you lose the meat suit and then you get another opportunity based on all of your life experiences. So your soul comes in and it starts over going over everything, all of your experiences, all of your soul contracts, all the things that it was here to do. And if there's anything unfinished that requires a meat suit, you hop back in the meat suit. If it doesn't, then you go on to have other experiences. I'm sure like there's probably more choice and more nuance to that, but that's the best that I have. I mean, I without sounding like, I'm ready and waiting for it. I am actually excited about the next stage. And I say that in distinction of I used to be afraid. I used to be like, well, what am I going to do? And I'm only like like a quarter of the way through life, right? So it's strange to be excited about it, but coming from that place of this is an entirely new opportunity and experience, and there are going to be people that um maybe I get an opportunity to kind of go visit more freely, that I can maybe support from the other side. I mean, um it's funny to consider how much I love service here, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in service on the other side too, and like ready and
Yeah.
waiting for it.
Work, work, work. All I do is work,
Right.
work.
Virgo never. I don't stop being a Virgo as a soul.
You'll
So
always be a Virgo, no matter how many times you come back.
right. It seems preordained, predestined, and so I think that when we die, it's just another existence. I don't necessarily buy into the concept of heaven and hell anymore. I do believe in karma, but not like the like you sow what you reap kind of karma, but the unfinished energy trying to complete itself type of karma.
I like that.
And I believe there are things you can do to get off that wheel and that cycle, and I'm not actively working on that. So I'll probably see you next time, Katrina.
I'm ready for that. I'll still be here. Don't worry. I I'm not afraid to die. I'm excited for what comes next,
Yeah.
but I'm sad to die in a
Mm.
way because I'm very attached to people here. I know I can still be around them, but I like my life very much. And
Mm.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm not ready for it to stop yet. But also I'm afraid it's going to hurt. There's so many ways that you die that do not seem pleasant. And I have ushered a lot of people and a lot of pets over to the other side. It wasn't pleasant. And
Mm.
so I'm concerned about that part of how the death happens. If there's the king's death where you just, you know, go to sleep and don't wake up, I'm all for that. But everything else just does not seem like a good time. It just
Yeah. The
that
process
passage.
of death,
Yes,
not great.
right. Yeah, true that. And the other thing I would ask in regard to this question that comes up a lot with people on this question is, do you believe in cross species reincarnation?
Yes. I got pretty passionate about like that question.
Mm-hmm.
In saying that I believe that humans are the base. Like we're at the bottom of, if there is a totem pole, we're down there. And as we evolve as souls, as we evolve as energies, then we go up the totem pole, which looks like, um, I think plants are the highest of the incarnations, if you will, the material incarnations, because they give to everything else on this planet, and everything that we aspire to be as human beings, plants embody. They nurture the land, they nurture the animals, they give of themselves, they'll sacrifice for the whole, they'll warn each other in their root networks of like what is happening and how to protect one another, even though they can't move. And there are some species of plants that evolve to heal themselves, and they have their own way of communicating. And I just believe that they are the highest because they don't they don't destroy anything, and we do. like,
We
like
do.
I had said out loud, what we call invasive species are invasive to us and our plans, versus the plant's ability to adapt and become part of the land around it. We are actually a legitimate invasive species where
Oh,
we create
right.
dysfunction wherever we set up shop. So I believe that our souls do go through different options as far as incarnation, and I think that the ultimate experience would be to become a plant of some kind. Doesn't have to be a tree. I was going to say a tree, but a plant of some sort.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's I'm going to be twirling on that for a little while. So, so throughout your life, of all the people that you've met, who is on your list of people that have influenced you in a positive way or sent you onto a path that you really needed to go down or saw you in a specific way that was enlightening to you, inspired, motivated you? Who has influenced you in a positive way?
So I would like to start with my grandmother. When I was younger, she was always on me about different things, and she always had these different sayings and different philosophies. And she was she was like a fringe kind of person. She was probably my first fringe person, and why I love fringe people. With reading books like The Master Key System, and I don't know if she knew about chakras when I was younger, but she was always into odd things. And my grandmother always pursued things that made her happy. So from moving to America, bringing my mom with her, and going to medical school, to being
Hmm.
done with medical school, working as a doctor, and then deciding she wanted to do balloon art. And I was like creating these beautiful pieces of balloon art for weddings and events and things like that. And I remember going to help her, and um, she imparted to me one phrase that I still say to this day, used to bug the crap out of me when I was a teen, and it was, everything is in divine order. Thank you,
Oh,
God. And
that's
I was
nice.
like, yeah. And I was like, everything's not in divine order. What do you mean? And I get like really anxious, and she'd be like, no, it's gonna be okay. And I even watch her now wield that phrase as she goes to court over, somebody trying to pull money from her because of the litigious ability to do so. And she shows up to court, and because she so strongly believes that, like, they don't show up to court and the case gets dismissed. And I'm just like, she's magical without any sort of, at least to my knowing, any in-depth initiations. And so that had a great influence on my sense of belief and my ability to have faith in things that I can't see. And I don't necessarily subscribe to capital God right now, but a force that comes from me that I can say she taught me, what she now calls, because I don't think she subscribes to that either now, she now calls divine intelligence. And so thank you for coming on that quest with me. My grandmother, my mother, who taught me, like, to bend the universe to my will. She walks around and says these things. She never discouraged me. She would question me to the point of developing my thoughts, ideas, and passions, but she never crushed me or said I couldn't do something. And I know that is an absolute gift to have in a parent. Um, from there, it starts to blossom into friendships that I've had only in the very recent years. Like, there's been tons of people who have positively affected me, and I feel like I'm giving like a Grammy speech here. I don't want to miss anybody. But I have to say, you,
Oh,
in our interactions, for your introduction, or you're like, oh man, like, who's this person gonna be? I felt none of that.
hmm.
I felt immediately welcomed. I felt your warmth. I felt your um acceptance, where I've had experiences where I felt like I had to prove myself. That wasn't the case with you. And I
Good.
had real real friendship and acceptance with you. And then not only that, I had a teacher who connected me with concepts that were native to my family in Costa Rica and Panama. And then I like show up doing them like Olympias and things like that. They're like, oh yeah, we did that all the time. And I'm like, well, thanks for teaching me.
Right.
And then they went on to, you know, teach me other things that coupled with what your teachings did. So it was like this amplification of something that was already seated and positive meeting you. And then I have new friends in that category, like Niall and Alia, and these are just human beings that completely embody themselves and their queerness brought to life mine, and making that a full 360-degree human experience instead of trying to walk a line of of trying to adapt to the places and people that are around me. You all have shaped me into accepting who I am, what I am, and myself, and feeling good about it, and not trying to smash it into a box that makes people comfortable. I thoroughly enjoy making people uncomfortable now.
Well, you're gonna have to work hard at that one.
Not you guys, you know, just the rest.
Okay. So that being the case, let's talk about you a little bit. So when you think about now, you've accomplished so much in your young life. I mean, you're a mother. You've had really, I got to think of the right word, vibrant relationships with people and with partners. And, you know, you just light up a relationship and you're a very passionate person. You have all these interests. When you look back, what things that you have done make you feel the most proud so that you're saying, you know what, that was really, I did that. That was really good. I feel good about that.
First, I want to acknowledge the use of your language. I am going to start calling my relationships vibrant. Like, I've had very vibrant relationships. That's going in the autobiography. Because that's not the word I would have used. What am I most proud of? I would have to say the communities that I've built. So somewhere in my childhood, I had this dream where I wanted to create a place where everybody could come and be themselves and just kind of chill. And like as a kid, this was like a milkshake bar because we can't go to the regular bars where adults go and there's pillows everywhere. And, you know, we're just in there being kids. And somewhere along the way, that manifested for me when I opened Crystal Cognizance,
Oh,
my
yes.
brick and mortar crystal shop. And so what started out as a place where I just wanted to do energy healing came to be this place where people would get off work and before they went home, they would stop and they would sit and they would talk and just share and just be like, oh my God, can you believe this is happening? And then we go, okay, you know, what's going on astrologically and what's going on energetically? And then have you considered this? And the way we would weave conversations together and touch on depth rather than how's the weather. It was just this amazing experience. And I didn't realize how amazing of an experience until I closed it. And just the people that came out to say that place changed my life. And it was like Crystal Cognizance was a fully formed human being that touched people's lives and then passed away, and there was a whole grieving and
Mm.
funeral that happened around it. And what I had to really do for myself to let go was to feel into what we'd weave together. It wasn't the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And so the spirit of crystal cognizance lives on in people that find me, and they just, we text each other and we check on each other, and I still get phone calls from people who were referred to crystal cognizance. They're like, oh, my friend said you have a crystal shop. And I'm like, unfortunately I haven't had that crystal shop for 3 years. And they are like devastated because they could feel the spirit of the shop. So I would have to say it's the community that I created there, and the community that continues to live on in the hearts of the people that still return. And sometimes we gather on the internet. Sometimes we gather. I have membership spaces where we create something similar. And I'll say it's similar because there's nothing like gathering in person. And getting an opportunity to sort of take the essence of that with me as I go into other communities. So I recently got to experience a retreat where we kind of created the same kind of collective community. And I can't say that it wasn't me that created it, but I was proud to sort of hold an energy that was available for what was created and we made something pretty amazing. So across the board, across my lifetime, and like achievements and certifications and things like that, where I want to say like, oh, I'm so proud of my kids, they're still developing. So I'll say community, the communities that I have been able to create, and maybe in the last 3 or 4 years participated.
Well, that's a great answer. Now, in 2022, you and I closed our physical brick and mortar stores within a month of each other.
Yes, we did.
Do you still have boxes of inventory packed away?
They're not packed, but I got them. Like, I'm sitting around some of the things now. So yeah, it's 100%. It's like a bad Mary Kay backup supply of things. Yeah.
Now, one thing that was different about Crystal Cognizance compared to Crossroads, which was our store, is you had specialty stones, and I mean giant amethyst cathedrals and really high-end stuff. So your home must look like Caradwin's cave or something.
Well, I'll tell you, if a hurricane comes through, the basement will be preserved. So
good to know. So what movie, podcast, book, or TV show are you into lately?
So I'm like, I feel so juvenile saying this. Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So there was the original show that was kind of quirky, and I liked that when I was younger. And then they redid it, and I'm talking about the what do they call those? The reboots. So I was watching the reboot, and I watched the entire season. I actually finished the season this morning, and wow, it was is incredible a word for this. I really thoroughly enjoyed the dark and the light of it, because it wasn't just, how can I make my life better with magic? It was not proclaiming myself as a witch. It felt more authentic to a lifestyle that I would imagine after interacting with you and kind of like hearing some of the stories. They were very like normal folks with challenges and troubles, and sometimes magic made things better and sometimes it made it drastically worse. And I feel like that's life. The moment that we start to impose our will on things, it can shift in any direction. And that was one of the teachings that I took from being with you was, yes, there are rules and there are laws to these things, and also there's chaos, and it will rain.
Will rain. That wild card is always in charge. You're only as good as your wild card.
So Sabrina the Teenage Witch. In between that, I'm reading whatever I can on the Gene Keys. But Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Awesome. I will check that out on your recommendation. So this one is a little bit more fanciful, believe it or not. Um, if you could choose a point in time and go back and tell your past self in this life something, what time would that be and what would you say?
Oh, I forgot about this question.
You can pass if you want, but it'd be
Yeah,
fun if you didn't.
I want the challenge. Um, so time in life, the first time in my life that comes to mind is, oh yeah. So I in high school started to get into woo-woo things, and I happened upon a box where my mom had hidden like her pendulum and her palm reading book. And then I think from there, I went on to go get my own tarot cards and like really started to dive deeply in. And I was a Christian at the time. And there was a sermon or something that kind of deterred me from what I had discovered. And as I think about that time, something in me lit up. And as I look at the memory, I can see that light. And then I got really scared and like reboxed it and gave it to like the weirdest kid in my high school. His name was Gary. And he always had a satchel. He never had a backpack. And, you know, you ask him something, he just pulls something out of the satchel. And I thought he was cool, but he was willing to touch more of the woo than I was. And so I retreated into Christianity, and I would go back and tell myself not to fucking do that. um, because
Listen to Gary.
right. If not, go learn from him. Like don't give him the things, ask more questions. Because not that I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea of like being further along or whatever, because I think things happen as they need to. But I wonder how I would have handled some things that went on in my life had I had tarot cards, had I done pendulum healing work, or had I learned about soul retrieval earlier. How would I have approached those very necessary moments in my life differently? And, you know, I certainly would have, because I entered into some of those things thinking I could control life. I really was that kind of like pompous about it. I was like, okay, nothing's going to surprise me. I've got the tarot cards now. And it's, so I like to think that had I stayed, I would have learned that idea of letting go of control a lot faster. And again, I would have approached some of those necessary events in my life differently. So if I could go back to her, and I might try, like, I believe in time travel.
There you go.
To unearth that memory and just let her know, like, hey, we're actually here for this reason. Like, don't make me learn it 15 years later. So
you've done a lot of things in your life, and more, I would say, than most people your age, as far as going out and having adventures and doing new things and having vibrant relationships and things like that. So what's left on your bucket list, if anything? Do you have any goals that are still out there that you want to reach?
Wow. Phasing through walls, instant materialization, bilocating so I can travel a bit more, curing at least one disease that human beings carry, and total world domination. I don't know. That's
all right. Well, we get a lot of, with that question, a lot of, I want to go to Holland and I want to learn to play the piano. So I think you have the highest vibing answer we've ever gotten to that question. What's your favorite part of the day?
Oh, um, more recently, I slowed down at about 8 just to breathe. And it's just me and my body, my energy, and it just feels like anything that I felt like I could have missed throughout the day in terms of like connection or receiving love or whatever, I've started giving that to myself, and that has become the favorite part of my day.
Great answer. I think that's wonderful. I wish I could go back and tell my past self to do that about 40 years ago. And then on our last question, it's very baseline. What would you like to promote? Where can people find you now? Where can people enlist your services? Or is there anything of other people that you would like to promote? It's all your forum right now.
Oh, there's so many amazing things happening in the world. I will say I have a membership group, is where most people can find me. It's I'm going to so I rebranded and came up with a new name. And as I just feel this sense of honor, as this will be the first time I'm saying it on a public platform.
Oh, I feel honored too then.
Yeah, so I've decided to rebrand from the Crystal Oasis, is what it was called, to Soul Archive. And that is a place where people can find me, but also find themselves and interact with maybe some of the things that I've talked about, time travel. There'll be a bit of healing in there, but really it's about advancing human evolution and using different tools to do that. Uh, Less from a teaching perspective, more from a inner journey perspective, and things to supplement that inner journey. You can also find me. Could we? Well, so my email. I mean, you can always just reach out via email, pleiadiancouncils.com. If you can spell it, you got me. Or
We
not
will put
.com, at
links. We'll
gmail.com.
put links to all of this in the description and also links to our old show. So continue.
Yay! I have a podcast of my own labor of love and creation coming out, which I hope to have you as a guest. Um, Coming out in November, in the first week of November, so it can be found there. That will be the Remembering Podcast, and you can find it on YouTube under the Sacred Cooperative. So links. And that's pretty much where I am right now. I'm looking at traveling. I would love to do that. So if you email me and you have space and you want to do something and collaborate, I'm around. But as long as it means impacting humanity in some major way, then I'm there for it. So,
All right.
yeah.
So, do you have anything to add or to say before we say goodbye?
That everybody should tell their friends about this show because you are an absolute treasure. You have been in my life,
Oh, thank
and
you.
interacting with you, even if it's through a screen, is always a positive, impactful experience. And I think that everybody should listen. And so that's what I would like to leave here.
That is so precious. And I feel the same way about you. So I'm excited about what's coming up for you. All the things you described sound just wonderful. And folks, I know you're going to want to reach out to Dahlia after viewing this. So again, check that description. Lots of links down there for you to find her and the things she's mentioned that are important to her. And with that, we're going to say goodbye and thank you so much for spending a little time with us and being the, I won't say, well, maybe the fly is more involved than we are, but the fly on the wall as we talk. And that's how I always envision this, is I'm sitting down with my friends and having the wonderful conversations that we tend to have, and you get to listen in and you get to participate in the comments, and we're very, very good about replying to comments. We will continue into the future. It isn't as though our videos age out and we're not monitoring anymore, unless I'm dead, and then maybe. But we will reply. We will acknowledge you and see you, unless your comment just doesn't elicit further interaction. So thanks for being here, everybody, and thanks for being a part of this community that we're building. And we will see you all next week.
See
Next,
ya.
maybe not next week, next time. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye for now.